Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge. We begin by sitting upright, suspend the head from above, let the body become soft. It's a feeling as if your skeleton is suspended by the crown, hanging from the ceiling. And all the soft tissues of the body are following the pull of gravity, melting downwards. Throughout the practice, let your posture be still. Breathing comfortably. Just in a way that feels good. Consciousness gradually fills the body. The attitude is open, accepting, passive. There's nothing to do, nothing to fix. You just allow the body and the mind to calm down by themselves. As you're breathing in, you can feel your body and observe that during the out-breath, the body releases tension naturally. Every time this release happens, it's quite pleasant.
Just stay with the simplicity of this. Breathing in, feeling, breathing out, softening. Allowing the body, the mind to merge together more and more. Let this connection be your basis for presence. Feeling the body. The quality of aliveness. You might be able to observe how your attention moves from sensation to sensation naturally. It doesn't stay in one place. All we do is just know that, observe that. And sometimes you will find that your attention moves to the realm of sound. Just hearing this, hearing that. Again, just knowing where the attention is in this moment. We're not adjusting it, not controlling it. Knowing what is happening while it is happening. For now, just in the realm of feeling and hearing, knowing how the attention moves from feeling to feeling, from sound to sound, without effort, naturally. Now, sometimes your attention will also go into the realm of mind, mental stuff, words, images. Let's just summarize all that into thinking. Where is my attention right now? Hearing, feeling, thinking. Simply know. There's no right thoughts or wrong thoughts. There's nothing to do about your thoughts other than to be aware of them. Shifting from the talking to the listening mode. Listening to your own brain activity. As presence deepens, the listening, the awareness deepens. The mental content fades into the background. It becomes irrelevant, unimportant. Losing our interest in this content makes it go away. Not minding it. Whatever happens, who cares? Just stuff happening. Sound, feeling, thinking, just life. Just processes, just nature. Managing itself. You'll observe that the mind becomes more and more silent. Your presence becomes mirror-like, just simply reflecting what is, not adding anything, not commenting on it, not managing it, just reflecting what is. Silently. Just rest in this silent beingness, this silent present. You do this until everything becomes so still, so quiet, that the only thing left is the breath. And naturally rest your attention on the breath. Breathing in, knowing that there's breathing in. Breathing out, knowing that there's breathing out. As if all is made out of breath. Just this one breath. That's all there is. This one breath is one session of meditation. While remaining aware of your breathing, keeping the breath in mind very gently. slowly come back and stretch the body a bit if you like. All right, good morning everyone. Good to see you. So today's topic is romanticizing escapism. Which is probably the most common tendency that spiritual or non-spiritual practitioners do go through. It's deeply ingrained with our mind to avoid what is unpleasant and to seek out what is pleasant. That's, I would say, the basis for this tendency. We do this constantly. Every little move of the body is exactly that. It's the pursuit of the pleasure and the avoidance of what is painful. Hence, the very first thing that we learn in traditional meditative training is to sit still. To not escape, not run away from our own being, our own body. Instead, learning to face what is simply as it is. And then gradually become comfortable around that. Not comfortable because we seek change. And comfortable because we step back and find a deeper layer of presence, a deeper layer of being that is not affected by what is going on. And as we enter that, strangely enough, the layer that has been affected by pain and so on begins to relax and open up. So that would be an example of not escaping, not running away for the sake of transcending, not for the sake of managing. There's a very, very common tendency in the mind. As I said, the mind is consistently in a managing mode, in a doing mode. That's what characterizes the mind. The self-preservation, the aim is to strengthen our sense of self, to maintain it through time. And if you take away this aspect of management, if you enter non-doing, you take away the mind's biggest toy. The Buddha defined karma as intention. Actually, a very short definition. Karma means action. The word karma means nothing but to act or action. And karma is governed by intention. It is through and through intention-based. It is intention that is at the very basis of suffering, of our experience of stress and unease and dissatisfaction, discontent that arises because of intent. Not only that, but also our experience of time. So with the collapsing away of intention, peace begins to unfold. Wisdom begins to unfold naturally. Meditation is not something you can do that you can produce, that you can make happen. In fact, meditation arises more and more as you stop managing, coping, trying, pushing, focusing, tensing up, intending. So we shift from intending to attending, paying attention to what is going on. Rather than talking, we enter a mode of listening. Rather than doing, we enter a mode of knowing or being, which is fairly uncommon. Is actually also quite easy, or simple at least, to enter those states because they're already there. And yet, the difficulty is that we are unable to recognize those states. Think of turbid water, muddy water. If you have a glass of muddy water, that mud prevents you to see the clarity of the water. The clarity of the water itself is blocked by the mud that's in it. It's even undrinkable also. You cannot drink it. You cannot ingest it. So it's not just enough to imagine that the water is actually clear. Like it's quite common. A common form of escapism in spiritual practice nowadays certainly is sentences such as, well, just be yourself, or just be aware. We can't just be aware. It's not possible. It's like having that turbid water and just kind of deluding ourselves into it's already clear. It's already, its Buddha nature is already there. And we don't need to do anything. Oh, everything is already divine, so we don't need to do anything. The danger with these kind of ideas is that that's all they are, nice ideas. And those nice ideas, they speak to my pleasure-seeking, discomfort-avoiding mind. Oh, wow, don't need to do anything. I can just be. That's nice. And then we fall into this false sense of comfort that is not characterized by clear seeing, but that's just kind of like going with the flow. It's more like a going with the flow. Hence, it feels really good to the self. It feels very good to me. I like it. So that would be an example on a, perhaps we can say a bit of a higher level or more mental level of an escape. The first one would be simply just moving in your meditation. In fact, the more comfortable you are, the more deeply you go into meditation, the more comfortable you become. Not because you're avoiding discomfort, but because you're entering something that is less touched by comfort or discomfort, which in itself is much more pleasurable, much more fulfilling than just the ordinary base pleasures of life. So you become very, how do you say it? You can say blissful, at ease, open, relaxed, warm. It's just good. So there is no need to move. Characteristic of somebody that's proficient in meditation practice, somebody that's capable, skillful, that has trained well. One of the first signs is actually physical. When they sit, do they move? What about their movement of breath? What about their heartbeat? If the body reflects the mind, then if the mind is perfectly still, so is the body, all the way up to the breath, all the way up to the heartbeat, all the way up to even brain activity. It is well known, in the meantime, that science has made some progress in this field. They have studied some of the hardcore meditators of the I don't know, Himalayan yogis and so on, monks and so on, they have studied this. They have seen quite some remarkable signs of long-term meditators, and people with 50,000 hours plus in experience, long-term retreatants and so on. But these people have very unusual brains, the very unusual brain activity. It's also known that, for example, if you do enter meditation proper, that brainwave activity ceases. That you can hook them up to an EEG monitor and the waves flatline when they enter meditation, which is a very unique feat. But these are signs of real meditation. We're not deluding ourselves, and we're calling lower things meditation, which is another form of escapism. Just take what is elevated and pull it down into the mud so it feels better. I can call myself a meditator. That feels nice to me, regardless of whether I'm actually meditating or not. It's just nice calling it meditation. Nowadays, people call taking a nap meditation. They call everything taking meditation. I don't know, just relaxation is already meditation. They look at a cat and say, the cat is a meditation master. It's because the cat's just sleeping a lot. So this word meditation is a very elevated term, actually. Dharana, jhana, samadhi, these are very, very elevated states. And so there's this tendency to pull those elevated states down, and that's a form of escapism. And so because I'm unable to do that, I'm unable to step up to that level, I'll just pull that down to my level and feel good about myself. Well, I'm a good meditator. I'm an expert. I have such and such amount of experience. This is the watering down over the centuries of very ancient, powerful practices that are supposed to lift us up. But if we pull those practices down and we make them so that we don't have to actually make a lot of effort, then that feels good, and it seems almost like a lot of things that we do these days are about feeling good rather than actually about being good, being correct, being truthful. It's enough to feel truthful. It's my truth that is prioritized over the truth. Another form of escapism. I don't have to ask any deeper questions. I don't have to truly investigate myself, my mind, my thought and belief systems. I simply follow my feeling, and I call it following my heart. Another one of those little escapist phrases, just follow your heart. What do we really mean by that? Let's clarify. What is following the heart? First of all, what exactly is the heart? Do you mean the fleshy muscle that pumps blood? Do you mean an essence, a core, a center? What is the quality of the heart that you're talking about? What is it made of? What is its nature? What is its function? What is its purpose and aim? We like to say things like, just follow the heart, or just be yourself, without really understanding what we are saying. You ask a couple of questions, it all falls apart. Thinking allows us to escape. Thinking is creating this matrix of delusion in which I can feel safe in my ideas, in my beliefs. And I like to feel safe. It's comfortable. I don't want to feel unsafe. I don't want to feel threatened. I don't want to question whether my system is thoroughly thought through or not, if it is really understood or not, if I can't even define the most basic terms such as heart or following, what is it that follows the heart? These are simple questions. Are you the heart? Are you the one following it? Are there two? What is exactly the quality that separates those two? The heart and you, the follower and the followed. But perhaps most people mean by that, follow your preferences, your feelings, your desires. Live your dream. And follow your heart sounds nice, poetic, inspiring, deep. That makes me look poetic, deep, inspiring, and I like that. I like to look deep, poetic, inspiring. Also to myself. I like to think of myself as somebody that's deep, poetic, and inspiring. I don't want to think of myself as a crude that doesn't have any idea about what he's talking about. But perhaps that's closer to the truth. Perhaps really closer to the truth is, I have no clue. I don't know anything. I just think I do. What happens if the layer of thought breaks down then? If it evaporates, then what's left? Well, a feeling of chaos. I'm not in charge here. I don't know what the hell's going on, who I am, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to be. So at first it can be quite threatening to let go of the very layer that keeps you safe. Your thoughts, your ideas, your rituals, your practices about yourself, about the world. Who is right? Who is wrong? What is right? What is wrong? So if you really step into proper practice, all these things need to be understood for what they are, seen for what they are. By understanding, I don't mean mentally reflecting on them, thinking about them, and developing another construct of thoughts around a certain thing, but to see it very clearly for what it actually is. Not imposing imagination, visualization, control, intention. None of that. But seeing clearly, there is the tendency of imagination. There is the tendency of thought. There is the tendency of imposing will. That is steps out of imagination, closer to what is true, seeing mental activity for what it is and for what it does. The moment it does it, rather than being the mental activity, being the doer, trying to meditate. Not escaping the truth, but seeing it. It's so common that we confuse imagination for spiritual practice. We visualize lights. We talk to imaginary beings. Without really knowing. But perhaps we have faith. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Well, not skillful. But that's not spiritual practice. This is at best leading towards spiritual practice, such as a boat is not an island. But if you're navigating it skillfully, it might well lead you to an island. Good, that's good. You don't need to discard your boat. But the purpose of that boat is to get you to the mainland, to safety. And there's many devices that can do that, such as even imagination, visualization, control, training your behavior to be more conducive to meditation, and so on. All these are good. They're skillful because they have the purpose of leading you beyond those tactics. But if the tactics become your spiritual cloak that keeps you comfy, you're missing the point. You're getting attached to the signpost rather than actually following where it points, going there, like the famous metaphor of pointing the finger to the moon, right? And then we look at the finger instead of the moon. Like if you show the moon to a dog, the dog's looking at the finger. I've tried pointing out stuff to my cats. They just look at my hand. They don't know any better. This is very, very common also that we mistake the spiritual stuff, which is not spiritual. I don't even like calling it spiritual stuff. But you know what I'm talking about. It's all the hats, the names, the words, the stuff is not it. And all the stuff is supposed to do, the traditions, the spiritual, the religious hierarchies, the systems, what they're supposed to do is protect the heart of the practice. Throughout the centuries and ages, we do need customs, traditions, cultures. We do need temples, churches, all these buildings. We need them because they serve to protect the heart. And some traditions have done a great job of protecting the heart. So the practice is very much still alive. The mystical, deep path still lives, and people still do it. They're not just stuck on the outer level, escaping the practice by keeping themselves comfy and avoiding problems through the outer garment of the spiritual practice. Well, I'm protected because I believe I'm protected. Or, well, if the priest sprinkles me with holy water, that's good enough. Now I'm lucky, now I'm fortunate, now I can win the lottery and everything will be fine. All these things pull away from the spiritual practice. Perhaps it's the devil's most cunning game, is to make you believe you're spiritual and keeping you stuck in the net of this belief where you actually feel like you're doing all the right things. Praise to Jesus. I'm praising Jesus every day. I'm a good person. Enough. What is the real praise of Jesus, though? What does praising Christ actually mean? First of all, what is Christ? Is it a figure outside? Is it the guy that died 2,000 years ago? What is it that is praiseworthy about Christ? Who is the one praising? So many questions. So many unanswered questions. So how do we answer them? This is through the process of the threefold training, which is very, very clearly laid out. Very beautiful. I like it a lot. The first one is to clarify, simplify, organize your actions. Why though? Like be a good boy. Don't be a bad boy. What does that actually mean? Well, do things that are conducive to happiness and abandon things that are conducive to suffering. First of all, very basic. On the most basic level, do what you know to be good for you and abandon what you know to be bad for yourself. It's fairly straightforward. But what's the purpose? Why would I just, humanists, secular humanists, they do that too. They say, let's all be good. Let's just be good human beings. Well, that has nothing to do yet with spiritual practice. The intention would determine that. Is your intention to reach spirit? Okay, it might qualify as a spiritual training. But if the attention is confused and you're just trying to be good to get points in heaven, you might be deluding yourself, right? That could always be the case. Like, I'm deluding myself, I'm pretty sure, right now, actually. Because it's one of the best things the mind is doing. It is deluding itself. It keeps itself stuck in its own web. Now, if you want to transcend that, the first thing you need to do is organize your life so there's room, there's space for transcendence. There is space for stillness and introspection. That space is not there, well then, there's not going to be anything higher. The purpose of being, or of doing good and abandoning harmful actions, is to enter meditation. That is the purpose of it, which is the second training, the training of samadhi. Your actions, your lifestyle, your behavior must become conducive to the practice of meditation. The purpose of the practice of meditation is to gain stillness and clarity for the sake of insight, wisdom, which is the third training. It's not enough to just be good. It's not enough to just be still. It must all lead to transcendence, the end of suffering, which is measurable. It's not something in your head. It's not enough to just proclaim yourself to be free from suffering or to think or believe that you're now unshakable. It can be put to the test, which should be done while you're training. If you're not doing it, life's going to do it. Life is going to offend you. It's going to challenge you and push your buttons, trigger you, annoy you, tickle you. The purpose of that is to reveal that you hurt. Hence, you haven't found spirit. Those who did find spirit and rest in spirit and call spirit their home, well, those people are free from worldly problems. Not only do they not chase pleasures or try to avoid pain, they have no interest in any of the subjects that are of the physical senses and so on. There's simply no interest in it. They rest within, always. Again, it's very elevated. If I compare this to myself, well, what can I say other than I'm a sinner? I'm completely turning my mind away most of the time from what is useful, meaningful, divine, what is higher. That is my main tendency. It is my wish to turn towards these things more, and in an upright way, sincerely. So it's very possible to romanticize, to make it look nice, to make escapism look nice. Go, let's take some ayahuasca, I don't know, let's go to the jungles of Peru and do, lick a toad and get super high, and then call it enlightenment. To call it medicine, when in reality all I'm doing is I'm seeking fancy experiences that help me to identify with them and feel special about myself. And I can share them with my friends, and I can make myself appear holier than now using those devices. I'm now special. But really, perhaps better to say I'm now depending on this substance, this location, this teacher, this book, this system. I'm depending. I'm not free. Whether it's people thinking that taking drugs and getting high equals spiritual enlightenment, or people that think that sex equals spiritual ascension, that is romanticizing escapism. I do what I prefer, what I like, and I put the label spiritual onto it, so it's going to be fine. I can feel good about myself doing those things. That goes all the way down to people who think they're doing everything right. I'm the hardcore spiritual practitioner that does 5 hours of meditation practice every day, so I'm fine, so I'm good. Also, no deeper questioning, no thorough understanding of what we're actually doing. Just trying my stuff, hoping it will work, not even knowing what it works means. So I wouldn't even be able to tell whether something works or not, because I don't even know what it's really supposed to do, what's supposed to happen, and so on. So one way to guard ourselves against this kind of spiritual bypassing or romanticizing, escapism kind of tendency of our mind is to be kept in check by somebody that's not me, and somebody that is highly skilled, more skilled than I am, that display all the signs of being highly skilled. Which doesn't feel nice, because I'm not a child anymore. Who are you to tell me what to do with my life? You know. But that's what a monk does, for example. If you go to a monastery and you submit to be there as a monk, you give up your whole self stuff. You give up your own decision-making process. You are now in the hands of your master, your teacher, the preceptor. You now need to do what they want you to do. You become completely unfree in the worldly sense, encouraging you to strive for a higher type of freedom, which transcends the world. The whole system is geared towards that, to offend the ego, so that you hopefully drop it. If the ego is never offended, you never know where you are in terms of your spiritual practice. It will feel comfortable and nice, but perhaps it's just escapism in the end. So it's a tricky topic. We kind of have to keep ourselves in check as good as we can, but again, that's the tricky one, keeping myself in check. I'm most likely to delude myself. So I need to be kept in check by something that's higher than me. That's the way the old traditions have fixed this problem. That's why there are hierarchies originally. They're aimed at protecting and preserving the core teachings, so that somebody cannot just suddenly stand up and say, hey guys, I'm enlightened. Why don't you all follow me, right? There has to be a kind of a system that checks whether that's actually true. Otherwise, people follow whatever, like we all do. We follow what we see, hear. We follow what the environment dictates, your upbringing, your culture, your parents, your trauma. All these things, they dictate what you follow. Well, to free ourselves from that is not an easy task. That's why we need the help of a community, a group. We need to have people who are highly skilled in what they do, and then submit to them. Surrender to the teachings. Don't make them the way you think you would like them. Do them as they're laid out. It's a very traditional approach, but there is a reason for that tradition. We don't have to break everything that's old just because it's old. A lot of the things that have survived times, there is a point why they have survived those times. It's important to keep what is useful, meaningful, helpful, and what works. If we don't, if we reform everything, in the end, we have nothing. That's all that comes to mind for today. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming. Have a good one.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day.